Just one, this is not a partisan activity. We have Frank Stella here, right, Frank? So we're bipartisan. So we know what you mean by 4 more years, but it really is for a different purpose. Thank you.
4 more years.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you remain standing, please, for the singing of our national anthem by the Detroit Martin Luther King High School Chorus. Ladies and gentlemen, the President has been asking all Americans if we can work together to build a bridge to the 21st century. Are we going to build that bridge to the 21st century? And many of you have been asking the President if he would help you build an airport for the 21st century. And he is here today to say to all of you, yes, we will. We will help you build that new airport for the 21st century. And let me tell you why. First, this president has invested more in our nation's transportation industry more than any other president in the history of our country. And he has made those investments in a strategic way, in partnership, as we are doing here today. Mr. President, what this community has done in forming a partnership with Northwest Airlines, in forming a partnership with the governmental entities, in forming a partnership with the federal government is, I think, the most creative partnership we have seen ever, a model for our country. We want to congratulate all of you for a great job. Well done. The second reason is because of our commitment to opening up markets around the world for communities like the Detroit metropolitan area. Earlier, I heard people talk about the new international flights that you have to Canada, and I was very proud to be here May 1 to celebrate the first nonstop service to Beijing, China, here from this airport. Congratulations to all of you. And we're going to continue to provide those opportunities for everyone here. And lastly, let me say this. You have heard from a number of us this afternoon about the value of this airport in terms of jobs and the economy. But I hope we remember this. As we look out at the young people here today, let us remember that the courage and the vision of your leaders here today was done for future generations, because new airports will be with us for decades. And so it is for the next century, for your children and your grandchildren, that you have made this investment. So I want to congratulate all of you for a job well done and say it has been our privilege to be your partner in this extraordinary new airport investment. Congratulations to all of you. There have been many people whom you've already recognized who have made this happen. It is my great pleasure to introduce a great American, a gentleman who has been your United States Senator now for some time, who will continue to be your United States Senator, and one who worked with me very closely on this project. I remember the time last year when Senator Levin met with me and talked about how we could make this investment, how we could get that new route to Beijing. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Senator Carl Levin.
Mr. Secretary, thank you. Secretary Pena, Mr. President. Today we begin a billion-dollar boost to the economy of Michigan and to the American economy. And we are doing this thanks to a great partnership between the President, between Secretary Pena, between the delegation, Ed McNamara, and county and local officials, and Northwest Airlines. In the last few years, under President Clinton's leadership, the American economy has, to use the sound images which surround us, has taken off. We have seen over 10 million new jobs. We have seen a record number of small businesses created. And one of the things which the President should be proudest of is that we have seen a turnaround in manufacturing jobs after a decade of loss, and we're now seeing the growth of manufacturing again in America. Similarly, Northwest Airlines, in the past 4 years, has also seen a great recovery. It's connected to the Clinton recovery, but it also has got some statistics of its own. Northwest is part of an industry which just a few years ago was losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And in the last 4 years, Northwest Airlines has become the most profitable airline in the United States. 10,000 new jobs, customers who are satisfied with on-time service, a community which is also very much in its debt. Northwest Airlines is a great corporate citizen. It is, with 3,000 of its employees, the sponsor of Special Olympics. It is feeding the homeless with its surplus meals. It is
creatively helping a whole host of volunteer agencies with its on-flight description of a number of charities each year. It is truly the epitome of what a good corporate citizen should be. And it's my pleasure today to introduce to you one of the architects of Northwest Airlines recovery, its co-chairman and a great friend, Al Checkey.
Mr. President, distinguished guests, it's the sound of money burning. This is truly a wonderful occasion because today we celebrate the product of two of the attributes which make our country so unique: the strength of our institutions, private and public, and the energy and imagination of our individual citizens. If you think about it, much of the development of our nation has been stimulated and reflected by the evolution of our public infrastructure. Nowhere is this more evident than in the field of transportation. First, there was the initial dredging of our colonial ports, which facilitated the settlement of our eastern shore. Then the constructions of bridges, canals, and turnpikes permitted penetration into our interior landmass. This was followed by the great railroads, which spanned and joined us as a nation. Then the interstate highway system, the great central nerve system so important to this city, which links all of our major cities and towns. And lastly, the airlines. These have afforded us connections which defy our natural topography and obviate the limits of distance in our great country. Only in America, where we have evolved the intimate network of relationship between and among federal, state, and local government institutions and large-scale private enterprise, do we enjoy an economic and social environment of such magnitude and richness. So today, once again, we celebrate another product of this great collaboration. But we also celebrate much more. For our institutions would be hollow without the animating spirit of the individuals who lead them. This project is a testament to that spirit. On behalf of the 47,000 men and women of Northwest Airlines and the millions of Americans and foreign visitors who will enjoy the fruits of your labor for decades to come, I want to especially thank some of the individuals who made this possible. First, President Bill Clinton, Wayne County Executive Ed McNamara, Michigan Governor John Engler, Senators Carl Levin and Spencer Abram, Congressman John Dingell, Joe Nollenberg and David Bonnier, Congresswoman Lynn Rivers, Secretary of Transportation Federico Pena, Chairman of the Wayne County Commission Ricardo Solomon, Romulus Mayor William Oakley, Detroit Mayor Dennis Archer, and former Ambassador to Canada and Governor of Michigan Jim Blanchard. Well, as you can see, Mr. President, there's one thing on which we can all agree. It takes a village to build an airport. You know, Herb Kelleher, the chairman of Southwest Airlines, on being introduced to the chief executive officer of the Wild Turkey Whiskey Company, said, and I quote, "To most people, you are just a man, but to me, you are a god." That's how I feel about Ed McNamara, who is... As many of you know, after an extraordinary 22-year career in the private sector, Ed has served the public sector with great distinction for over 2 decades. I said earlier, today is a celebration of the energy and imagination of individuals. In this respect, Ed exemplifies the American individual at his very best. Ed McNamara.
Welcome to my announcement for President of the United States in the year of 2000. I wouldn't take that job for anything. You know, I have to do something before I get into my extemporaneous speech here. I have to let you know that there are 2 people. You've heard of the names of a lot of people that have been deeply involved, and I could name a number of others. But many of you have been using this airport for years, and we have 2 people here. Mike Berry, who the Berry Terminal is. Stand up, Mike. These are the real pioneers of the airport. And Jim Davey, the Davey Terminal. These were the real pioneers that drove this airport and made it what it is today. And, you know, I'm sure many of you must be wondering how we got so many important people here today, and well, it's been very simple. We have their luggage. Al Checky gave me that line. He didn't think it was funny, though. But I have been looking forward to this day since I took office as county executive in 1987. Because it used to be that you had to have a river in your town if you wanted to succeed. Then you needed to be in a town where there was a railroad stop. Today you need an airport. Business goes where airplanes fly. The better the airport, the more business your town is able to attract. What we're doing here today is making sure that Wayne County and Greater Detroit area remain competitive for many years to come. When we are done with our expansion in the year 2000, we will have a midfield terminal that serves passengers more efficiently than any other airport in the world. We'll have taken steps towards noise prevention and noise remediation that will keep this airport as quiet as we possibly can for our neighbors. And our routes will put us one nonstop flight away from places our parents only dreamed of seeing: Paris, Tokyo, and London, and Beijing. It is indeed a smaller world, and this airport will help in its own way to make sure that Detroit remains a big dot on the map. And there are so many people to thank, and again, you've heard many of them are here today and many are not. But there is one who was more important to making this happen than any other individual, and that is our President, Bill Clinton. I think the president had a pretty good view of the 21st century, and I think he saw how an expanded metro would help this country compete. So when it came down to making a make or break line, when we needed $150 million to turn this project from pieces of paper to bricks and mortar, Bill Clinton came through and found us the money. And then we gave his luggage back. The president drove the golden spike on this deal and connected Metro's historic past to its very important future. Mr. President, we can never thank you enough. You helped us bring 20,000 new jobs and hundreds of new businesses to Wayne County. We just can't thank you enough. And now, if you will all please rise and join me in welcoming the President of the United States, Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When Al Checkey started telling that story about Herb Kelleher, who's a mutual friend of ours, meeting the head of Wild Turkey Whiskey Company, I couldn't tell whether he was comparing Ed McNamara to God, to whiskey, or to a wild turkey. I will pay for that at a later point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, many people have been thanked today, but I want to say a special word of thanks to the members of Congress who have personally lobbied me in behalf of this project, and in particular, your friend, Senator Carl Levin, Congressman John Dingell, who has a way of being insistent himself, Congressman John Conyers and Congressman David Bonnier, who are here, and one who is not here, Congresswoman Lynn Rivers. I thank them very much for the work they did personally with me in Washington. I want to thank Alfred Checkey for the brilliant job he has done in turning Northwest Airlines around, along with John Dasberg and others, and the work they did to make this possible. It's a real tribute to the ability of American enterprise to compete in the areas that will dominate the 21st century. I want to thank Secretary Pena for the work that he has done to make sure that even in a time when we reduce the deficit in all 4 years for the first time in the 20th century, at a time when we were permitting government spending to grow more slowly than it has in the last 12 years, we still were able to invest more in the infrastructure of America. No small measure because of the innovation and the partnerships that Federico Pena did a lot to help to design and carry out. And since he was the mayor of Denver before he became Secretary of Transportation, we all know that he believes in building modern airports. I'd also like to thank Mayor Archer for so many things. But the last time I checked, the unemployment rate in the city of Detroit was half what it was 4 years ago, thanks in no small measure to the work that Detroit did in securing the empowerment zone, to the $2 billion in private sector capital that were committed to it, and to the genuine spirit of partnership and cooperation which Dennis Archer has fostered, and I thank him for that. But most important, I want to thank my friend Ed McNamara. I'll tell you a story about Ed. Not so very long ago, when the question of the last $150 million was hanging fire, he put his big old arm around me, and he looked at me with those big sort of half-happy, half-sad eyes of his. And I thought, I'm going to get another one of this Irish bull that's kind of about to come out to me. And he said, "Have I always been your friend?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Was I there before almost everyone else?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Didn't Jim Blanchard bring you to me first?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Have I ever asked you for anything? Anything?" I said, "No." He said, "I want that airport now." Governor Blanchard was nodding his head up and down. He knows that's true. So this is a great day for Wayne County. It's a great day for the state of Michigan. The idea that we could invest here from all sources $1.6 billion to generate an annual impact of $2.7 billion says more than I ever could about the importance of creating a modern economy that will generate high-wage jobs that is tied to the rest of America and the rest of the world. Senator Levin said that
Together, all of us working hard in the United States have produced 10.5 million more jobs over the last 4 years. The thing that I'm proudest of is that the typical family income has gone up $1,600 after inflation in the last 2 years, in part because more than half of these jobs are in high-wage industries. We have to keep that trend going. For 20 years, Americans worked harder and harder and harder just to keep up, just to hold on. The average American family today is spending more hours at work and less time with their kids than they did in 1969. We have begun to turn that trend around. So this is not only going to be exciting, it will not only change the life and the face of Wayne County and Michigan forever in creating more new jobs, it will create better jobs, and it will enable more and more people in Michigan not only to have access to that exciting world that's out there, but also to build more successful family lives, to succeed at work and at home. So that this project today, yes, it will advance the pocketbooks and the incomes of the people whose jobs will come into being as a result of it, but it will also improve the quality of life for virtually every person in this entire region who is affected in any way by the way the economy is changing, so that change will be working for not only the working people, but the families and the children of Michigan in the future, instead of undermining those family values and what we all want. And that is, to me, perhaps the best news of this announcement today. And I thank all of you who worked on it to make it possible. The unemployment in this state has dropped from about 7.5% to about 4.5% over the last 4 years. We now have to focus on the long term, on investing in our future and building that bridge to the 21st century I talk so much about. Air travel is an important part of it. One of the things Mr. Checky did not say, because he was perhaps too modest, but I want to emphasize that one of the areas that America enjoys an unquestionable global lead in, where no other nation can come close, is in the quality and competitiveness and price of air service in the United States. Whether it is commercial service, or people on tourist ventures and trips, or carrying cargo, there is no one in the world that can compete with the competitive airlines of the United States. People were writing our airline industry off. When I became president, we had a special commission to talk about what we could do to rebuild the airlines. I believe it is accurate to say that last year and this year, every major airline company in America will turn a profit and is helping to forge the kind of partnerships we need to build that 21st century economy, where every single person will have a chance to live up to the fullest of his or her own abilities, and where people really will have a chance to build successful careers and strong families in good communities. That's what turning this dirt means today. It is a very great day, and all of you should be very grateful to the leaders here who have worked so hard to make it happen. Thank you, and God bless you all.